What did we just watch? What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to a brand new episode of SIBZ, West Coast, East Coast Siblings. Today we got the final episode for Season 1 of C, and I gotta be honest, I'm feeling a lot of things. So let's unpack it together. We have two main storylines that we're following. We'll get into those, but first, let me give my initial reactions. Honestly, guys, it felt so rushed. I don't know, it just seems like everything that happened in the episode, especially with Haniwa and Kofun and Jerla Morel, could have and should have happened in like 2 or 3 episodes at least. Think about it. They met Jerla Morel. They got accommodated to their new surroundings and the new people. They distrusted Jerla Morel. They got imprisoned by Jerla Morel. They fought Jerla Morel and they beat Jerla Morel all in the span of an hour. It just doesn't feel in rhythm with the rest of the season. It felt like a slow burn that was building up to something big, but not all that. And I think in doing it so quickly, they cheapened not only the gravity, but the effect of the events that really happened, because it was substantial. So not that what happened wasn't good, but it just all happened too fast. Okay, that's my initial reaction. Let's get more into the details. So we'll get to Queen Kane and Princess Magra, but right now let's focus on Haniwa, Kofun, and Jerla Morel. We have some developments here that are setting kind of the trajectory for both of their characters. Now with Haniwa saying, she'd rather be feared than burned as a witch, many people would rather do anything than die. But with that being said, they're just continuing this thread that Haniwa is going to end up being an antagonist of the blind, is where Kofun, he asks questions like, oh, in your city of light, where are the blind people going to go? Are you just going to abandon them? But this is kind of giving us insight into how Haniwa is seeing the world. I'm going to make my season 2 prediction, or at least my character projections. Kofun is obviously, he's going to be the hero for the blind, the sighted man who fights for the blind. And I think Haniwa, now that we're kind of understanding her character, she's going to have the guts to do all that Jerla Morel was preaching about, and Jerla Morel gives her an avenue to actualize all this. Now, I had a problem with Kofun for most of the episode, because even though he was right in not trusting Jerla Morel, he seems so combative from the jump. Like, we get it, you resent him. He left you and your sister and your mother for your entire lives, and I get it. But if you're so in your feelings that you can't have a productive conversation and try to make things work, then don't come. We all know he wanted to stay with Baba Voss in Paris and the gang, but he felt obligated to stay with his sister Haniwa. But it's like, if you're going to make that decision to go and do the thing, go and do the thing. It seemed like every word out of Jerla Morel or anybody's mouth was just met with contention. But again, there's only so much I can say because he turned out to be right. So one quick tidbit, we got our first reference as to how long humanity's been living in darkness. It came via a quick scene where we met a character named Aleman, who was shoveling the coal into the fire for the electricity for the generator. And he says that they've been living in darkness for 500 years. Now, we knew it had been hundreds and hundreds of years, but I don't know, 500 seems a little short to me. I mean, is that enough time for humanity to not only forget that they ever could see, but for even thinking that you could see would be considered heresy? I mean, there was probably some kind of record keeping even when everyone lost their sight. I don't know if it could be a tape recorder or something like that. Like, there should be some evidence around that people could see, and it wouldn't be heresy. At least not only 500 years removed from the majority of people being able to see. Anyway, it's also during this scene with Aleman that Kofun asks, does this guy think he's a god? It seems like he has a god complex. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And he says no. Then later on in the episode, when Haniwa is traded to the Travantians, we hear him reference, "will be like gods." He says something like that. And so it's kind of reinforcing that this whole thing has been a lie. Jerla Morel actually does think he's a god. And again, like my initial impression, that just seems too rushed. Like, how do we know all this about Jerla Morel already? They developed his character and defeated him within an hour. It's like pulling back the curtain on the Wizard of Oz and seeing, oh, he's really just a scam. He's really not about anything. I just felt like they would have taken more time to reveal that. A couple more things on Haniwa and Kofun's side. We're introduced to guns. I think this is the first time we've seen guns in an episode. So Jerla Morel is in possession of them. I'm assuming he's doing some kind of weapons trading with the Travantians. But maybe not, as when their colonel came to come and get Haniwa, he didn't seem to have any kind of gun. He just had a spear. And this is kind of speaking to the amount of power that Jerla Morel has or should have. And it kind of doesn't make sense how his story and his motivation kind of all ended up falling into place. I mean, everything Jerla was preaching, he could have actually been about. He could have actually done. With all those seeing people and with all those guns, he didn't really have to bow to anyone. As Baba Voss said, like, he's really a coward. He had a whole bunch of sighted people and a whole bunch of guns. And yet he's bowing to the will of the Travantians. He's bowing to the will of Queen Kane out of fear. So again, I think it's very Wizard of Oz. At least that's what it looks like right now. And again, he's already been defeated, so we didn't really have much time for all that to develop, but I digress. So long story short, because you've seen the episode, Haniwa ends up getting traded into slavery or to go serve the Travantians, and Kofun, upon nearly being executed, is saved by Baba Voss, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but again, it seemed like they were in a time crunch because Paris just woke up with a dream about Haniwa and Kofun being in danger. Next thing we know, Baba Voss is there at the nick of time when Kofun's about to be assassinated, somehow walks up on two apparently sighted people and kills them with a sword. Not a long-range weapon of any kind. He kind of just walks up and kills them both with a sword. Yeah, that didn't make a lot of sense. So Kofun, Paris, and Baba Voss end up looking out over a cityscape, and Paris tells them, look, Haniwa is here. We need to go and find her. And so that's kind of where we leave them, which honestly seems like a mid-season finale type of thing. I mean, your journey to go find Haniwa. I mean, how much time is going to elapse between now and season 2? Anyway, so let's get to Maghra and Queen Kane and everything that goes down with them. Now, I'm kind of dissatisfied with how things turned out as far as Queen Kane staying Queen Kane. And this is mainly because they cheated for her. She wasn't necessarily doing anything special or clever or cunning. It all kind of hinged on the woman she befriended in the Silk Factory convincing Boots to portray Princess Maghra. Now, of course, we all know at this point Boots cannot be trusted, but that's not the problem. The problem is her whole line of logic is, oh, well, it's good to be a general of a princess, but it's better to be a general of a queen. Well, Boots was there. He saw Tamakti Jun allying with Princess Maghra. They were going to get the entire army behind them, and then as seeing general, it was a wrap for Queen Kane. There was no way she was going to stay queen. So if Boots was going to do the wise thing, he would have stayed with Tamakti Jun and Maghra, dethroned Queen Kane, and kept the army. It doesn't make much sense because killing Tamakti Jun doesn't directly fix their problem. I mean, unless he had already thought up that Queen Kane and Princess Maghra were then going to team up and come up with a lie to get the army's trust and loyalty back. And even then, how did Boots not know that Princess Maghra wouldn't simply have him killed for betraying her once she became second in command only to the queen? Something they just glossed over, I imagine they didn't get to it because of time constraints again, was that Tamakti Jun made a huge error in voting for Queen Kane to stay queen in the first place when it came time to vote between Princess Maghra and Queen Kane. I remember a comment I received on last week's episode, and they were saying, look, Tamakti Jun was on the road for a long time. How would he even know that Queen Kane wasn't fit to rule? He would just naturally vote for Queen Kane. But here's the thing. I mean, the king pretty much said as much before he died, and of course he whispered it to Princess Maghra, but then Princess Maghra told Tamakti Jun, and so that basically came down to whether Tamakti Jun trusted Princess Maghra and what she said, or not. I mean, even then, he was leader of the army under the king. So you can't tell me he never heard anything or saw anything about how Queen Kane was ruling. And even with all that, she was queen for roughly 10-12 years before Princess Maghra even challenged her throne. So are you telling me she was a perfect ruler, giving no evidence that she was evil in those 10 years before Princess Maghra challenged her throne? I find that hard to believe. So yeah, Queen Kane's big, clever move to stay queen ended up falling flat in my opinion because it hinged on such a weak point. Anyway, so now Queen Kane and Princess Maghra, or co-queen, Princess Maghra, they are setting out to go and find Princess Maghra's kids. Now Queen Kane is apparently interested in Kofun as the king of the sighted, Princess Maghra's son. I don't want to go there, but I think there are some undertones that she may want to marry Kofun. I don't know. Did you guys catch that? It's super creepy because it's technically his aunt, and we already had Jon Snow and Queen Daenerys, so I don't think we need to go there again. So the episode ends with them going off to find the sighted kingdom in Kofun and Haniwa, and Kofun, Paris, and Baba Voss are going to find Haniwa, who is now a prisoner of the Travantians, and a new character who I'm going to predict is going to be the main villain for season 2, Ido Voss, who is the brother of Baba Voss. So quick point, I always found it funny that Baba Voss was always injured, and it's mainly because he has no physical equal in the entire show. That's part of why he's so famous in the land, is because he's just a dope fighter. So I'm assuming Ido Voss is going to be somebody who is his physical match or greater. I mean, I don't know if it was just me, but a lot of the fighting scenes between Baba Voss and Jerla Morel just were kind of unconvincing, unbelievable for me. I mean, of course, Jerla Morel is sighted, so that gives him an advantage, but Baba Voss also has decades and decades of experience, so that gives him an advantage. So assuming those both equal each other, once you get into a ground fight MMA style where you're actually wrestling, it's gonna come down to the guy who's bigger and stronger. I mean, they're in totally different weight classes. So yeah, guys, overall the episode just seemed really rushed. I mean, I don't think you should meet and defeat a character in the same episode. We met Jerla Morel, everything happened, and then Jorla Morel was defeated all within 60 minutes. And then you kind of had the cop-out victory of Queen Kane that just hinged on that illogical reasoning by Boots. Honestly, I guess I got what I asked for. I wanted answers to all my questions, but I really got answers to all my questions in 60 minutes. I guess be careful what you wish for. Anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on the episode. It's still all new, less than 24 hours old, so let's talk about it in the comments. Were you happy with it? I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. I probably am. So for those of you who have stuck around this long, we know season 2 is coming. We don't have any dates on when that's coming, but we know it is happening. But if you're itching to get into something action-packed, we have The Witcher that's coming out. I'll be doing a series on that. That comes December 20th with Justice League co-star Henry Cavill. But if you don't even want to wait that long, the 6th and final season of history's hit show Vikings just came on Wednesday, so a couple days ago. I already have my first episode review of that, so I'll leave the link in the description below if you just want to jump into something fresh and kind of get your mind off of C for a minute. Anyway, guys, thank you so much as always for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. I got a lot to think about for this episode. Let's talk in the comments below. Peace.